All right, y'all. Let's go here. Mel Gibson. Y'all remember the video Mel Gibson was on Fox News, right? And he was talking about, I don't know if it was intentional, but, one starts to think that maybe it is, right? And, that video got a lot of attention, and rightfully so, because Mel Gibson is speaking out against some very powerful forces, not only from a political standpoint, but from a spiritual standpoint as well. He's standing in faith and he's being bold about it, even after losing his home. And he ain't backing down. He's still going in. And I think it's very, very interesting. Now, this is an interview, Mel Gibson, once again, suggesting that there might have been some nefarious activity as it relates to the California fires. And it's crazy. There was actually a fire, there was 3 fires, all surrounding my house. It was one was, I'm not going to say the location, but one was 35 minutes away. The other one was probably an hour away, and the other one was 15 minutes away. But I could see the smoke from my backyard. This literally just happened. I don't even know if they're all contained or not. But hey, it is what it is. Let's get to it.
The recovery. Mel Gibson joins me now. Mel, thank you for being here. Interview about that landmark film. Now, you're going to hear about his latest movie, a thriller called Flight Risk. It's an interview we recorded at his house, which is coming up. But when these horrible fires struck LA in January of 2025 and he lost his home, I wanted to see how he was doing and talk to him about the recovery. Mel Gibson joins me now. Mel, thank you for being here. Mel, what did you think when you drove up to the beautiful room people will see in just a moment where we conducted this interview? When you saw your neighborhood, when you saw your entire community, what did you imagine or think at that time?
Well, first, I thought it was just, bad luck, tragedy. But then I think I came to realize that it was monumental mismanagement by our elected officials. And that's the nicest thing you can say about it.
Mm. Yeah, I've been listening to your governor, Gavin Newsom, and he's promising LA 2.0, a reimagined Los Angeles. He even says he has a Marshall Plan. Is that what you and your neighbors want right now?
Well, as a citizen here, Newsom and Bass, they want us to trust them to reimagine the city, our city, in how they think it should be. And look what they've done so far to this town, you got nothing but rampant crime, acute homelessness, high taxes, mismanagement of water, firefighters, defunding the department. And we're supposed to trust them with millions of dollars to sort of remake where we live. It's our city. It's the city of the people. And they have another plan. And, he's saying, build back better. This concept that's got whiskers on it. Everybody says it. And have you ever seen government build back better? There's still people from the Woolsey fire living in trailers and stuff. Okay. When have you seen the government build back better?
Very
it's
rarely.
Just social engineering, environmental regulation, and spending. That's the last thing any of us have been burned out need, are a bunch of bureaucrats telling us how to rebuild our communities. I just think it's at the very least, it's insensitive.
Yeah, well, and with the water challenges, just focusing on the water, Mel, the reservoir that was left empty, which is the second largest in your community, in all of the state, that alone raises such intense questions. And
that was the second largest reservoir in the state? Dry? That's why, but they supposed to be trusted to build back better.
And it boggles the mind that now you have these people saying, but we should be entrusted with rebuilding the future. You couldn't hold on to the present.
No, they've bungled it.
Wow.
I think. There are those who say, well, was it intentional? Do they need to rebuild the Olympic Village and clear, like the cattle barons clearing off land? Or, I won't go that far. But it certainly was, the perfect storm of events, with no water, defunded fire department, not enough personnel, and the
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like potentially, and this is a complete speculation. It sounds like potentially after the Fox News interview that he was advised not to speak so directly on it. But he's doing a masterful job of speaking around it in a way that clearly lets you know how he feels about it.
second largest reservoir in the state, to take care of the communities of the Palisades, Malibu, LA County. They should have had a backup plan. And they knew it was coming. And they had other places where they could pump the water from and actually fill that to be ready. They knew it was coming.
Yeah.
So.
Well, look, as you know, I lost my house in Katrina. Our family lost our house, and it was gutting, and it was awful. But, I came to see it as a great blessing in my life in time. I was struck this week. You did an interview, and you said, in passing, you see this loss of your home as a purification. How so?
Well, it was an odd mixture of sadness and kind of a weird realization and blessing, I think, because I thought, they're just things. I mean, I'm going to miss some stuff. There was valuable stuff. There was personal stuff that just breaks my heart, But, I feel like I'm being stripped down and prepared for something else. Now that's maybe very personal, but I feel like the Almighty's preparing me to do something big.
Well, I have to say, when I heard that, I thought, I wonder if this is, or if you're regarding this as a spiritual preparation for the resurrection movie you're about to embark on.
Yeah, I think that's kind of it. It's like, hey, look, God gives, God takes. We come in with nothing. That's the same way we go out, And here's the deal. You'll always be okay. If you seek first the kingdom of God, you'll always be okay. You'll get what you need. Look at the flowers of the field. Look at the birds of the air. They get fed. They get clothed. I mean, it's Matthew, I think. But that was one of my dad's favorite passages. He said, stop worrying about stuff, about money, about stuff. So, that's, I think he put that in my head when I was very young, and it stayed, and I believe it,
Yeah.
So we'll be all right.
How has your faith gotten you through this, Mel? I mean, I know you're a man of faith. I know you practice your faith. Devotions, I mean, it's always a traumatic moment because people don't understand unless you've gone through this. The geography of your life, the daily visuals of your life are suddenly gone. It is, to me, that was worse than losing the house, Mel. Losing the coffee shop, losing the friends, losing the icons of my childhood that I remembered, that I reveled in every day.
Yeah, it's kind of an opportunity to recreate your path. I mean, it's you got to look at the upside of this. I mean, there's plenty of downside, but honestly, I see it as kind of a blessing and a purification. So, you lose. Yeah, it's going to be murder getting the insurance. I mean, everybody's reneging, and it's going to be a real cluster buster.
Yeah,
but
a real cluster buster.
Anyway, that's all I had.
A real cluster buster.
I got a lot of faith.
Yeah.
Not in our elected officials. No.
But it makes you free. But personally, it frees you in some ways from the things you've been carrying around for even the things you thought you needed. You realize you don't need a whole lot to survive and do the work.
I'll tell you a funny story. I mean, it's cold at the moment where I'm at, and it's like this guy calls me up. He's a friend of mine. He says, "Hey, you got a warm coat?" And I said, "No, because I'm sorry, I'm dressed like Zelensky, but not by choice." But he said, "You got a warm coat?" And I'm like, "No, I don't have a warm coat." And he said, "I got one for you." And I feel kind of like, gee, that's nice of you. And I said, "Is it going to fit me? You're 6'3" tall." And he said, "No problem. It's going to fit you because you gave it to me during the Woolsey fire. And now I'm giving it back."
Gosh. Wow. Full
and I said, "You
circle,
cheapskate, mother hugger."
Paying it forward, indeed. Look, and there's something else here I don't want to leave on the table. You said to Joe Rogan that the timing of the Passion sequel, the resurrection of the Christ, 20 years later is perfect. Why? Yeah. Why do you think it's perfect now, Mel?
Well, I think, the cares and the weeds and the flower, they've all grown up around us in the last 20 years to a degree where I think society is kind of devolving somehow.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Sometimes I think you're asking the wrong thing. I think you're asking the wrong thing. You know what I'm saying? I think your attention span, I think that needs to be expanded. You know what I'm saying? We don't, it doesn't always have to be like, I know, listen, social media, Instagram, especially TikTok, it's conditioned us to just want just a quick hit of dopamine. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. It's okay to just like chill and just sit, you know what I'm saying? And just like listen to it. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. And if it's not for you, then it's not for you, G. But ironically enough, it is sped up. It is sped up. But I think he's saying some really valuable stuff. You know, I don't want y'all to miss it just because we're just speeding through it.
And I think we need a reminder of the most basic things and the things that forms our civilization. And I think as we watch it, kind of.
Oh, I'm sorry. Listen, it's like 10 o'clock at night. It's like 10 o'clock. It's literally 10 o'clock at night. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm just using it as an example because there is a lot of people who ask me to speed things up. And it's like, yo, what did we do when we weren't able to speed things up? You know what I mean? Like back in the day, we weren't able to just speed things up. You know what I'm saying? Like, so my apologies if I misinterpreted. I'm sorry. I apologize. Stop. Don't say nothing to him. It was me. Call. I got it. I got that. The ADD. It's me. It's me. I got it. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. I didn't have enough attention to sit and read his actual comment. I'm sorry. It's me. I'm sorry. It's me.
The civilization being threatened by the various earmarks that, are precursors of the loss of any civilization. So I believe it's not in my timing. I thought, man, it's too late. It's like 20 years. I mean, wow, Jim's got wrinkles. What am I going to do? And
along came CGI. Thank goodness.
So he's talking about the Passion of the Christ 2, which is coming out. But then he's going to wrap it back around and they're going to get back to the fires in a second.
Yeah, you can do something, put a little Vaseline on the lens, say, Jim, turn around. He actually, I got to say, 20 years is not dented. Jim looks great still. So it's fantastic. I don't look so good, but Jim does.
Oh, come on.
But so I thought it was like 20 years, maybe a bit too late, but I think now it's perfect because, and I've had all these things taken and it sort of frees me up to not worry about that stuff and just move ahead and do what I'm being called to do. And I'm being called to do it.
Wow.
So I don't even know why it's the right time, but I think, it is.
No, it certainly feels like it is.
Feel that.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I know you've been toying with it and fighting with it and wrestling with it for all of these 20 years.
Oh, yeah. No. It's a big subject and very complex. And it's taken all those years to contemplate it, think about it, and distill it with the help of two writers.
Yeah.
And so it's a puzzle, but I think I found a way in.
Yeah. What are you hearing from your neighbors, Mel, going back to this tragedy you all find yourselves in the midst of? Do they want to move on? Do they want to stay and rebuild the community in Malibu? What are you hearing?
Well, a lot of people's spirits are broken, because it's, it happened and then it happened again. And then you realize that, your elected leaders are not really, you don't trust them.
Yeah.
And is it going to happen again? And a lot of people just want to move on. I mean, people were already moving out of the state in droves.
Yeah.
Droves. They go to Texas, they go to Idaho, they go to South Carolina and all these different places to get away from a political and a social climate developing here that they did not dig. And they wanted to go someplace where they felt like free Americans, Yeah. So I think they were already leaving in droves. And I think this is people are just going to say, it's too hard. It's the too hard basket. We were hanging on, but, we got to go find something else. A lot of these middle-class families, they haven't got the resources to rebuild.
No, they don't.
I mean, the insurance company, they all canceled their whole things beforehand. And it's just terrible.
It's awful.
They send drones around. Oh, you haven't got a railing on you haven't got a screen on your window. Sorry, we're canceling your insurance. It's that kind of, it's this crazy thing that's going on.
That's pretty crazy. So they've got drones going around these homes from the insurance companies. They're contracting these drones to fly around these homes in order to figure out different ways that they can cancel your insurance policy. And remember what I said, I used to work in insurance. Insurance is a big business. There's a reason why it's a big business. There's a reason why. They don't want to pay claims. If insurance companies have to pay too many claims, guess what happens? They don't make as much money. So the insurance company's job is to increase profits, not only for themselves, but also for their shareholders. They have to increase profits. So how do you do that? How do you increase profits, right? Well, number one, you can bring on new business. You can bundle, right? Bundle your home and your auto. You can bundle, or you can crack down on what you perceive to be your high risk business that is already on the books. And from the standpoint of California, which we know from history is a very high risk location to insure a home. And that's what they started to do in California, in Florida. They started to crack down on their high risk book of business. And it's crazy that he said this, because I didn't even know they were doing this, but they were sending drones around these homes to inspect these homes to find any little thing that they can find to void their policy, to void their contract. So they find any little thing that they can find to void the contract, and then suddenly, boom, oh, there's a fire, and oop, there's no water. Sorry, can't help you. And you know, there's a lot of very wealthy people in these areas, but there's also people who are, you know, regular everyday people that worked very hard, that saved up their money, that put down payments like years and years and years ago, and they bought a home. You know, they did what they were told to do the right thing, save your money, put a down payment, buy a house. This is how you build wealth. There's a lot of people who did that, who are not necessarily, you know, wealthy, and they bought a house, and the value of their house over time continued to go up and 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 up, right? And now their house is burned down. So, you know, they might have bought the house when it was, just for, you know, example's sake, maybe it was $700,000. And at the time, they could afford to buy that house for $700,000, right? But now the home, when it burned down because the property values went up, maybe that house is now, you know, potentially doubled. Maybe it's 1.5, 1.6. But then you add in the cost of insurance and the cost of contractors and all this, the permitting and all this type of stuff. And now you might even be pushing like $2 million, and they can't afford to rebuild. So what do they do now? They leave. And they probably have such a bad taste in their mouth that they're probably going to leave the state, and they're going to try to go somewhere more affordable. And then what's going to happen? You're going to have new builders that come in, that take that land, that clear out that land, and they're going to build on it because those individuals can't afford to do anything with it. So these builders are going to build on it, and they're going to create multifamily homes, and they're going to cram as many people as they can into these multifamily homes. So now essentially you just got rid of the single family home, and you just crammed a bunch of individuals into all these and I'm not saying anything, there's nothing against multifamily homes. I'm simply saying there's some very interesting things happening. There's some very interesting storylines. It's very interesting. Like, you put your trust in a community. You put your trust in, you know, what people have told you all these years to save your money, put a down payment on a house, buy a house. You put your trust in that. And then instantly you realize, oh, snap, it could be taken from me in an instant. Now what do I do? Some interesting stuff going on.
And then to have, you know, no resources to fight this disaster. was
that goes on. I mean, the thing that struck me, Mel, unlike Katrina, which was a one and done, it was over in 24 hours. This thing has gone on, and even with the national attention, they don't seem to have marshaled the resources or the will or the organization to at least stop these fires and protect their citizens. That's what I
But look
find
at the
most
chemical
outrageous.
spills in Ohio. Look at that stuff.
Yeah.
What did they do? Look at all these storms over on the East Coast now. I mean, really, it's just it's neglect, and then of course we're giving all our money to other people, and and neglecting our own, and giving it to people illegals coming across the border and putting them up in hotels and giving them phones and spending billions, and
It's a lack of focus on the citizenry and the things that matter and the lasting infrastructure, which I certainly see in New Orleans and other places I travel. It's just crumbling. Look, there are thousands of people, Mel, in North Carolina, in Florida, now in LA, trying to recover from disasters and find home again. What has this experience taught you, and what would you offer them?
Well, I think one has to depend on oneself and one's neighbors and one's family and one's friends and your community. In order to, and to band together and to make your voices heard, because it's clear, and all over the country, that our elected officials, I don't think they give a damn, because they're not really doing much. So it's up to us.
Yeah.
I think so. And it's put your faith in God and kind of move forward.
And let him lead you.
And that's hard to do, man, when your ass is on fire.
Yeah. And the neighborhood around
and the
you.
neighbors. I mean, the people I've seen. I mean, God, this woman down the road. She had she's got two boys who are autistic, and she they don't know what to do without their environment, and she's found a way to some special forces guys are doing really good services, and they're going around getting people places to live. And doing really good things. So it's in the community like that, and our community needs to tell government what we need and what we want,
and demand it happen. Well, thank God for those people. And look, we're praying for you, your family, all those caught in the path of these fires, Mel. And we have much more on the other side of this. We're going to talk about your upcoming film.
All right. I have to agree with what he said, especially at the end. I don't think they really care about us. I don't think they do. It don't seem like it. So yeah, it's up to us, is what it's kind of seeming like, right? To be savvy, to be smart, to be awake, to see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? To plan for these situations. And ultimately, like he said, put your faith in God. Put your faith in God. Crazy